Good morning, Mom. Good morning, classmate. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My discussion is all about subtopic C, supply chain as sources of competitive advantage optimizing the supply chain. A supply chain is the network of relationship between the upstream and downstream activities with all stakeholders who are involved in their chain of relationship. So maghisgot ang supply chain network kay naa na jud ni ang relasyon between sa upstream and downstream activities nga nag-involve ang stakeholders nag-involve sad ang supply chain management. To take an example about supply chain. So there are examples. If a particular good or service has to be delivered to the customer, so if atong service kay nindot kasagaran, so ang mga customer is magbalik-balik jud na siya. And then the next is there are raw materials that are needed for the manufacture. So kung mag-isgot ganit tag manufacture, so daghan jud na siyang mga raw materials nga kinahanglan nun para ana nga manufacture. And the third one is forms of transport and means of storage for the raw materials. So mahimo siya nga ma-transform siya, and then mahimo siya nga storage para sa mga raw materials. And the next is the transport of the finished goods to retailer, and the logistics involved in getting the goods to the customer are all parts of the supply chain that extend from the suppliers to the customer. So kung ang transportation sa product is kanang nahumana nya nindot o kanang hapsay siya nga pag deliver or retailer niya, kay mag-involves gina siya about sa atong kanindot sa atong service. So ang mga customer is malipay ug magbalik-balik na sa ato nga business or production. In other words, there is a chain of relationships between the firms and the partners involved in this chain. The next one is, therefore, supply chain are comprised of all the stakeholders, and the relationships between them determine the effectiveness of the supply chain. Next is, in contemporary times, supply chain can be sources of competitive advantage, as efficient management of the supply chain leads to cost savings, and synergies between the components of the supply chain leads to greater profitability for the firms. So ang gipasabot ani kay sa contemporary times pa, ang supply chain kay mahimo siya nga sources sa competitive advantage and efficient management sa supply. Kay naman siya kanang mga cost savings ug sa mga synergies nga between sa components sa supply chain. Supply chains as strategic levers. In time of economic recessions, supply chain can be used as strategic levers as they can be optimized to perform better than the rivals, do so that more profits can be extracted and lesser costs endured. So kani ko na nga time about sa supply chain as strategic levers kay ang economic recessions og supply chain kay pwede siya magamit about sa strategic levers para makakuan siya, optimize siya about sa mga performance sa mga profits sa extracted, lesser endured. The optimization of the supply chain through just-in-time or JIT methods of holding inventory. Focus on reducing the GOGS, or the cost of goods sold, by rationalizing the expenditure on the components of supply chain, all lead to a situation that can be extremely beneficial to the firms. So guys, got ni siya about sa optimization about sa supply chain. Og nagisgot sad ni siya sa mga GIT og sa mga COGS, or the cost of goods sold. Og kanang nagkuan ni siya kanang og nagisgot sad ni siya about sa beneficial sa kana nga manufacture. It is for these reasons that many firms like Walmart, Procter and Gamble, Tata Motors and Unilever has focused on rationalizing the activities that from supply chain. The point here is that with astute management of the supply chain, the firms can derive value from the process, which can then translate into greater profits and lesser cost. So, kani kay guys got ni siya about sa mga hinungdan sa mga firms sa katuganing mga Walmart, Procter and Gamble, Tata Motors and Unilever. Mo ni siya ga-focus sa rationalizing activities nga gikan sa supply chain. Nya ang punto ani is kanang mukuan og management about sa supply chain nga makaderive siya og tagaag value sa pagproseso ani niya, which can ma-translate siya into greater profits or kanang taas nga profits and lesser cost. Apart from this, the supply chain can also be a strategic and competitive advantage because a major portion of the cost of goods sold, or COGS, is made up of the logistics and the supply chain expenses. So kahibalo naman jud taon sa ito'y meaning sa COGS. So mao ni siya ang supply chain nga makakuan pod siya og strategic og competitive advantage. So kaybaw naman ta aning advantage para siya sa mga major nga portion nga makahatag og nindot nga cost. The case of Walmart. So, mao ni siya. To take some real-world examples, Walmart is one retailer that has managed its global supply chain in an adroit and efficient manner. So, kani di ay si Walmart, kay mao ni siya ang nagkuan jud sa kanang retailers about sa management sa global supply chain sa Android o sa efficient manner. As it operates in various countries around the world, it needs to have control over its global supply chain, at this is where the company wed. So magisgot na ganita aning mga kuan kanang operate sa various countries around the world. So need jud ni siya og kanang knowledge, tas kuan jud ni siya kanang need jud ni siya study pa jud about para makuan nimo kanang para makahibalo ka unsay angay buhaton o dili angay buhaton, para makontrol ang needs sa global supply chain o sa mga kumpanya. Its focus on local capabilities and global movement and integration has made its supply chain leaner and meaner. So there are further the companies obsessed with cost and therefore it focuses exclusively on how to make its COGS and the logistics aspects of the supply chain efficient and effective. So this is apart from this, the single-minded obsession with reducing cost has paid off handsomely for the company as it retains its number one position in the retailer market space, mainly due to its cost-effective strategies that translate into however unit prices for the product it stocks. So kani nga kuana is nag-focus ni siya about sa COGS. Of course, there are many who believe that the company overemphasizes the cost reduction in its supply chain and this has led to some ethical issues. So, ang mga nagkalain-lain jud ay nga company is nagkuan jud ni sila, nintuod jud ni sila sa mga company nga nag-emphasizes o kanang dako nga reduction about sa supply chain para ma-lead to some ethical issues. So, ang tanan jud ay nga kasagaran sa mga kumpanya is nagkuan gini siya og kanang dako nga income about ani nga product para nindot ang ilang product og nindot og quality tas para madani ang customer dayon o para ang ilang supply chain is kanang di pod sa ingon nga mapadulong siya sa mga issues karon nga nagkalain-lain. So kuan naman tangan nyo generation karon, so dapat when we say kuan about sa company is very kanang kuan jud siya, need siya study and analyze o kanang dapat ang ato ang product ana nga company is legit gid siya para ang mga customer mo balik-balik jud. However, the point here is that in times of economic gloom, Walmart with its aggressive approach to supply chain management has scored over its rival. Without suggesting that ethics should be discarded or ignored, the fact remains that a concentrated effort to rationalize the supply chain can pay off well for companies. So, nagisgot ni siya about sa mga economic gloom kani si Walmart. Mao ni siya ang kuan kanang aggressive nga mo approach about sa supply chain management nga nakascore about over sa rivals. And then mo po ni siya ang nagsuggest nga ang ethics kay kuan yun siya kanang i-discarded kanang suwad-on or i-ignore nila nga para ma-remain nila ang kanang fact nga na-concentrate sa efforts sa rationalize about sa supply chain companies. Concluding remarks. Finally, the twin challenges of the globalization of the world economy and the increase in the global complexity supply chain are formidable, and when taken together with the effect of the ongoing economic crisis, business leaders have their hands full trying to make decisions on how to meet these challenges. So kani nga topic ani is more on challenges siya kay di man sa tanang higayon nga ang ato ang negosyo or ang atong company is pirmi siya nga kanang upstream gid siya, wa gyud siya downstream. So every business kay makatry gini siya og upstream, downstream. So depende ra na siya sa pagdala sa mga kuan mga leader or depende nila pag handle about sa customer. Nagisgot po ni siya sa about sa economic crisis kung kuan na jud siya kanang downstream na jud ang ato ang economy sa lugar or sa Pilipinas. So every business nga mga leaders kay kuan jud nila ilang kanang for example ilang gi-try ang ilang best para ma-succeed ana ilang business or ilang gi-promote ang ilang kaugalingon dako kay silag salig nga yung ilang business is mo high pa siya and then to make their business grow and to satisfied customers in that production. Making business is not easy way on when handle the customers and the products. It makes a lot of time to deal with others and to analyze what are the importance in making decisions about business or company and to promote the wants and needs about the business and to serve the customers good and no harsh.